When we were originally launching Incredible Doom, the mini comic series that eventually led to me quitting my day job and doing comics full time, we spent a year getting ready in order to launch one 30-page mini comic. What did we do that whole time? We were planning, and this video is about why that year was crucial. My name is Matthew Bogart.
And I'm Jesse Holden.
And we're the co-creators of what eventually became a graphic novel series from Harper Alley called Incredible Doom, about a group of teenagers in the early 90s that get their lives turned upside down by the early internet. Before I did Incredible Doom, I had never really thought a lot about the project of a comic as a whole. I thought a lot about the writing and the art, but I never thought about crucial things like how would this project make money? How would it find a readership? How would it be sustainable over the long haul, make more money over time, and gain more readership over time? So the first thing to figure out was
how are we going to make sure that we have the money to physically produce the issues? That's the whole point of, funding the project. I remember we had conversations about what if people paid for a whole year in advance and then they got every issue for that year.
It reminds me, one of the biggest problems I remembered facing was I didn't want to accept money too far ahead of where the project was at the time. I was deathly afraid of the situation where we accept a few $1,000s from incredibly generous fans and friends and guarantee them 6 issues in a year and a half, and then 3 years go by and they've only gotten 2 of them. It turns out we were right to be skeptical, but we wanted to make sure we were taking in money that was only going to be used for something we knew we could deliver, which was the very next issue. The thing that caused us the most problems was that we wanted 3 things, of which normally you can only pick 2. We wanted beautiful looking books that didn't cost much to make, that were printed in very small quantities. Normally, the way that you make money on printed material is you have a ton of whatever you're producing created, which makes the cost per unit go way down. At the time we were launching this Patreon, I had about 5 patrons that were backing above the $3 a month level. There was the possibility that only 5 people might be getting issue 1, which cut out lots of traditional printing methods. So the method we ended up going with was we hired a professional printer, an offset printer named Eberhardt Press here in Portland, Oregon, to print the covers of each issue. And then we would print the interiors from copy shops. And then we'd assemble the covers with the interiors by hand. The advantages this gave us was that we could print the covers in volume with a low upfront cost, spend a few $100s on 500 covers, and then only print, let's say, 20 interiors for launch day. And then if it turned out we needed more interiors, we could print those on demand at any time. But if we didn't, we hadn't spent a ton of money on things that we didn't need.
Yeah, I don't want to let an opportunity go by to praise Eberhardt Press without actually praising Eberhardt Press here, who were really, really instrumental in making this work for us.
If you are thinking of producing something like this, work with a local printer that you can establish a good relationship with. Charles at Eberhardt, he was so eager to help us make something that would be really exciting and cool. And being able to have a relationship with your printer where they're invested in making your project work, it's invaluable. I can't recommend it more highly.
For sure.
But once we settled on the covers being printed at Eberhardt, the interiors being printed at copy shops, we finally came up with something that was low volume enough, but also cost effective enough, as long as we were willing to do a lot of the manual work of assembling them and finishing them.
Yeah, and one other thing that was a pretty late game time decision to include was Feelies.
What Feelies were a little object in the back of each mini comic of Incredible Doom that was an object from the world of the story. So, for example, in the back of issue number 2, where one of our characters discovers a note in their locker from another one of our characters, and the note is written on a sheet of notebook paper and folded up into the shape of a triangle. In the back of issue 2, if you flip to the back cover, taped inside the back cover would be a sheet of notebook paper folded into the shape of a triangle with the note recreated on it when you unfolded it. And every issue had something different.
The name Feelies comes from kind of pack-ins that you would sometimes get from certain computer games, where in the box that the game came in, you would get kind of tactile objects from the universe of that video game.
So Feelies were something that we thought would help encourage folks to spread the word about the comic. But we also made something else. We also made a video.
I really think that enlisting the help of the wonderful Chris Higgins to help us with the videos, not just the new Patreon intro video that we were really proud of, but also, I don't know how to describe it exactly. It was almost like the world of Incredible Doom as told through people's own personal memories of the era.
To explain what Jesse's talking about, we shot this video, which is a series of talking heads of people talking about their early internet experiences. And the reason that we filmed it originally was because it goes all the way back to the original feeling I had when I thought about trying to take on the project of a comic set in the early days of the internet, which is this impression that we know this story already, that it's mostly about nerdy, cis white boys usually playing video games on their computer and talking about science fiction. And we wanted that to be an element of Incredible Doom, but we really wanted to find stories that were not just that, because I thought that would be much more interesting. But the video, I thought, was a good way to get that across very quickly to new people who would come to the site. If you could just watch a wide range of people talk about their early internet experiences and get the sense that their experiences could be wild. It could include car crashes.
The whole cab of the car was smashed down.
And fist fights.
And he still got him by the back of the shirt and is just whooping him with his hammer as they run.
And romance.
It's the summer that I fell in love for the first time.
And passion. And
of course, we're teenagers, so romances and all that stuff. So
like crazy adventures.
And there was no looking back after that.
Then I thought that might entice you to be like, ooh, I can see the potential of this series, even though there isn't a ton of it to read yet. I'm excited about the kinds of things we're going to get into here. So, by the time we were ready to launch, I had designed the website, incredibledoom.com. We wrote and then I drew all of issue 1 and then all of issue 2. I had designed an entire second Patreon and we'd shot an entire video. We'd gotten all of that ready in total secret without telling anyone on the internet so that when we launched, we could announce this burst of exciting new stuff. Here's issue 1 of the comic. It is up on incredibledoom.com. You can read the entire thing right now, today, for free. And let them know that in a couple weeks, we were going to be starting to serialize issue number 2 on incredibledoom.com. Yet, if you wanted to read all of Incredible Doom number 2 right now, you can by becoming a Patreon member. We wanted to have issue number 2 as an immediate reward for what we were hoping was going to be a large influx of people that were coming to the site for the first time on launch day.
If you are going to ask for people to come and check your stuff out, you might only get them for that one moment. And so you want to try and give them as much as you can in that moment. So people would have an experience that was as good as we could make it, which was, here's the whole first issue for free. There's no sign in, no nothing. The whole thing is right here for you. If you want more, you can read the entire second issue right now by just signing up at any tier level on the Patreon. And if you signed up at the subscription level, you would get the issues 1, and then when it came out, issue 2 physically as well.
But we'd created that video. We'd created the website in secret. We created the secret Patreon page that we were going to copy over to replace my existing Patreon page when the time came. We'd drawn all of the first issue and all of the second issue. We gathered all this material, a year's worth of work that nobody had seen, and we sort of held our breath, and we published it.
We pulled the trigger.
After we pulled the trigger, Jesse and I got some root beer floats, and we went up to the top of Mount Tabor. And I remember we sat on a bench and looked out over the city and watched tweets roll in and watched people linking to it on Metafilter. We watched a post go up from our friend Andy Bayo on waxy.org. One of the biggest highlights of that day was discovering that Cory Doctorow, the author and blogger, had posted about it on Boing Boing.
Boing Boing is such a pillar in the grand early days of the web, and it's kind of still a torchbearer for that. And similarly with Metafilter, and honestly, similarly with Andy's blog, waxy.org.
A good way to put it is that while we were making the comic, these were so many of the people that we cared about making sure we were adequately representing them. And it seemed like it was, so that was incredibly gratifying.
Absolutely.
And the Thunderclap moment really worked. On my Patreon, we went from $122 per month that I was making from my previous comics to $498 a month almost immediately. During the first month that the comic was online, IncredibleDoom.com got 7.1 thousand visitors. This was all way more than I'd ever had on any of my comics before, and it was kind of mind-boggling.
I remember there was a goal set in the Patreon for that kind of what we looked at as a break-even point.
That's right, when we reached the point in which we were making a profit on it, almost right away. So, that was our year of prep. Then we drew the rest of the issues, got a big fancy book deal, and that's it, the end!